Yeah, do you have pictures of your property, Shanette?
Okay, I think we're live. We're
Yeah.
live on Facebook. Yeah,
You can't hear us?
yeah. Shanette, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Awesome. So we're live on Facebook.
Okay, do you have pictures of that property you bought for $500 so we can display that?
I don't have it on here. That's
Okay.
I'll have to post it later after
Okay.
down in the comments. I'll
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair. All right. All right. So tonight is going to be a very, a little bit of a quicker meeting. Shanette is a money-making woman, so she's got money moves to go out and make. So we thank her for coming and giving her time, her expertise. And most importantly, we're really, really excited that we get to do this sponsors question and answer. So feel free to go ahead and just jump in, ask any questions that you may have, particularly those who read her interview. Her interview was incredibly powerful. I actually got lots of calls about your interview, and people were just like, oh my gosh, I would not have even known that Shanette has been through what she has been through, and for her to come out on the other side and to teach and empower individuals and aid them in, just overall holistic health, in my opinion. So you nurture them just in your profession, but you also nurture people in their finances. I mean, it was just stunning. I was just blown away. So Jay, what about you? And I'm sorry, I know we jumped right back in. We jumped into it, but I feel like, enough people know what's, I mean, unless we want to go through the formalities. Jay, do you want to go through the formalities of introducing everybody on the team?
Oh, well, why not? Since we're kind of used to do that. So welcome, everybody. Welcome to this live. Again, we're with one of our founding platinum sponsors, Shanette Williams. And we also have on the panel our forerunner, Takia Noble. And we have Shanette Williams with us. She's the CEO, founder of Kheirloom Investments. And we're going to have in the background Kevin Vane, who will make sure that the technicalities, which gave us a couple of issues. That's why we started about 20 minutes later. But, we still here. We're still here. So he's going to make sure things run smoothly. And again, from the WEkonomist team, welcome and thank you for joining this live. So we're going to have Shanette with us. We're going to talk about her article, An Extraordinary, Powerful Woman. You can see the passion in her, why she's so successful, going through what she's been through, and now coming successful like this. She has to be an extraordinary woman. And we're going to share her story with you tonight, and hopefully it will inspire you. And, you'll be able to get a lot of value from that. So Takia, take it away.
Yes. So yeah, Shanette, I got to tell you the interview. Oh, and really quick, Jay, are you taking care of the comments? Because I kind of took a
Oh yeah, I can certainly do that. Okay. I can certainly do that.
So Jay is going to read some of the comments. Should we get some on the interview? So Shanette, so yeah, like first things first. Let's just go ahead and let's just talk about the marrying of your profession and your passion and what you felt. Now, I know that when we did the business of the month, we definitely, first things. Oh, I'm sorry. I know that we discussed what inspired you to create Kheirloom, but I would like to go in a little bit deeper, and with you, I would like to actually make it a little bit more of a personal look for you as the founder and as the woman behind the vision. And I really want you to kind of go into go into the marriage of both your profession and your passion.
Okay, so I have always wanted to be a nurse. Since I was a little girl, I can remember way back when I wanted to be a nurse. So I did that. And along the way, I realized that in order to retire comfortably in the way that I wanted and to build generational wealth, I was not going to be able to do that as a nurse. Although I loved it, I knew, hey, I need to do something different. So I got to thinking, my mom introduced me into real estate years ago when I was a teenager. So I'm like, okay, I love real estate. I was one of those people who was, back when I used to watch TV, HGTV, things like that. But I just really became fascinated with real estate. I used to go out, and go through the model homes and watch the sites. I built my current home when I was 27 years old. I watched the entire process from when it was just dirt to the full build. I watched every single process. I visited the site at least 4 to 5 times a week. So I became obsessed with that. Um, and as time grew, I started learning more and more about real estate. I started getting more interested in it. And then I'm like, hey, you know, why don't I pick up real estate? And then not only that, but real estate to me is a way, um, I always say, not necessarily a backup plan, but it's something that could sustain me, something that is almost recession proof to me. So if I were to ever not be able to work my job or anything like that, I have real estate. Not only that, but real estate can help build generational wealth. I can pass it down to my sons, my
Mm-hmm.
grandkids, and keep the torch going. That is something that won't go anywhere. So I sat and brainstormed. One thing led to another. I start going out, educating myself. I went to real estate school, taking all kind of courses. I hired mentors, coaches, and things like that. And the last 2 years, I've just learned everything I could learn about real estate, and I'm still learning. And so here I am, hence the real estate nurse. So I don't really want to ever quit nursing because I love it. I do want to work as a nurse when I want to work. Um, but I love both. I love being a nurse and I love real estate. So here I am.
That is awesome. So, the title of your feature is Property Over Purses. So, can you go ahead and break down exactly? And anyone who follows you notices that that's a very prominent hashtag of yours, and you even have a shirt where it says property and then over purses. So this is clearly a mantra by which you live. So can you go ahead and can you actually break down the significance of why your mantra literally is property over purses?
Yes. Well, the thing about that, it's more of a mindset than anything. So,
Okay.
I used to be, and I just to be honest, I love nice things. I used to love to shop, but it comes to a point you have to reprioritize and you have to, focus on what's important. And for me, that is building a legacy for my family and building that generational wealth. So I can't go, and I've never been a label type person, anyways, but the mindset behind that is instead of going out buying expensive purses and other frivolous things, expensive shoes and things like that, take that money and invest it in something. If you want to buy a Coach bag, invest in the company. You know what I mean? Buy some stock or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I just took the money that I would spend on other things, and I took that money and started investing it. I have a diversified investment portfolio, but a bigger part of it is in real estate. So I start taking all that money and moving it into real estate and moving it into educating myself in real estate and things like that. And the
Mm-hmm.
thing about it is with the mindset, and I say that because I'm willing to live a few years to be very uncomfortable so that I
Mm-hmm.
can live the rest of my life the way that I want to and be able to pass that down um, to my descendants as well. So I always, and I know people say, "Well, I want what I want and I work hard for this," and that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. I'm the person who I still drive my 2008, my
Mm-hmm.
2010 vehicles that have been paid off for years. I refuse to get a new car. They still get me to where I need to go. You know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
still live in the same house right now that I built when I was 27 years old. I literally make more than double what I made then. So as my income increased, I never increased my
Your
lifestyle.
expenses.
So I live below my means. So the money I would be using for a car payment or, a higher mortgage or what have you, I take that money and I've invested it. So I'm starting, my nest eggs for my sons and my grandchildren and things like that. And to me, that's more important than, the material things. So I still have what I need,
Right.
although I don't go out and just buy all these other things. So it's more of a mindset thing. So, yeah.
Now that's an interesting analogy. And like, that's awesome. But that's an interesting analogy that you said you somehow equated property to purses, right? You said property over purses. So now the average person would say, well, a Michael Kors bag is $500, a $400, $500, maybe a Coach bag is $1,000. Maybe if I'm getting real bougie and uppity, maybe I'll spend,
Right.
$5,000 or $6,000 on Louis. So you mean to tell me
Right.
that that you could perhaps take $500 and invest in a property, or $6,000 and invest in a property? And when you say that you could take that $500 or $600 and invest in the property, are you actually referring to like a REIT? Are you referring to a real estate investment trust? Or because $500 for property, the only thing that I'm thinking of is maybe I might get the garage door opener.
Right. And I know a lot of people think that. So let me break it down for you. So there are certain counties in this country where you can buy a tax lien property for as little as $500. I have purchased multiple properties for $500. One of them in the condition, a lot of people say, oh, well, it must be really raggedy or trashy. No, it's not. This one particular property is already worth $50,000 in the condition it's in, as it stands, just like it is, $500. So I say property over purses. I know people who spend $500,000, $600,000 on a purse. Well, guess what? I can take that same $500,000, $2,000 and buy a property, rehab it, fix it up, and rent it out. So guess what? If I'm getting $900 a month for 12 months, guess what? I can buy that purse 9, 10 times over, So instead of buying the purse up front, put it and invest that money first and let your investment pay for your other things. So it's not to say that don't go ever buying a purse, but I always say give every dollar 2 jobs. Okay. So whereas you take that money and spend on a purse, well, it's gone. It's not doing anything for you. And 6 months later, there's going to be a new bag out. Well, you take that same money, you invest it into a property, tax lien property, for instance, that is going to continue to pay you, whether you rent it out or you can sell it, but think about that. And if you rinse and repeat that process over and over again, just think about the exponential growth that you can get just from that single investment, So I always tell people, it's just the way you look at things. So, yeah.
That is amazing. Now, this is actually, I'm going to give you a fact, and then I'm just going to ask you for an opinion, since you are, you're in this field. So, and we'll actually be publishing this in the next article. But what's really, really interesting is that the Federal Reserve does a lot of, they report a lot of information, basically about kind of what's eroding, at least Americans' incomes. And the number one thing that's eroding American incomes is the increased cost of living with housing. It is literally, you now see that a lot of Americans are becoming rent burdened, or they're becoming extremely rent burdened. And so for anyone who does not know what rent burden is, that's when 30% of your income is eaten up by housing and housing related costs, or extremely rent burden. And that's where 50% or more is eaten up by housing related costs. Now I'm going to throw in a really interesting, another fact, a really interesting fact, and then I'm going to lead it, segue into the question for you. So an interesting fact is that EPI also calculated what kind of what kind of effect rent burden has over the long-term wealth, building of wealth accumulation. And they found that people who were not rent burdened had the ability to save $7,000 per year. People who were rent burdened could only save $10 per year. Okay, so that's my little fun fact.
Wow.
There you go, WEkonomist. But now, with that being said, do you feel like the way that you approach real estate is a viable solution, maybe to someone who is experiencing the financial pressures of perhaps being rent burdened or excessively rent burdened? And if so, why or why not?
Definitely. So I always say, okay, so say for instance, if you could save up $1,000, $2,000, you can buy a prop. Well, you know what? Even before that, I'll give you another one. So house hacking, right? House hacking. So what house hacking is essentially is you will buy a duplex with at least 2 units in it, 2 to 4 units. You live in one and rent the others out. You allow the rent from the other properties to pay the mortgage on the entire building. So essentially, you're living rent free. So not only are you living rent free, but that is an investment property. By the time you save your money to do whatever it is you need to do, whether it's to buy another house or buy another investment property, you're not rent burdened. You know what I mean? Because someone else essentially is paying for your mortgage or your rent and things like that. So house hacking is one solution that I suggest to people who feel like they're burdened by rent payments and things like that. And even if you have a mortgage, I think I just posted on my page earlier this week or last week, I'm getting ready to house hack myself.
That's awesome.
And, I'm getting ready to, yes, it's me and my husband, we live in a 3,100 square foot house. And it's like, okay, we don't need the space. I have a lot of things coming up that I'm trying to do, rehabbing properties. I'm going to be busy, all of that. So we're like, hey, let's downsize. We're going to house hack. We're going to buy a duplex, live in one, rent the others out. So we won't have a mortgage for a while until we decide we want to do something different. We're going to cash flow our current home and it's going to go into the pot with our other real estate investments. So it's going to be another cash flowing asset for us. But house hacking is a great way. And even for first time home buyers, go ahead and house hack. There's nothing wrong with it. I know multiple people that do that. Why not do that? You have a property that basically someone else is paying off. You can take either the equity out of it and refinance or save your money, what you would have been paying for a mortgage, and put at least 20% down on another house so you can avoid PMI, private mortgage insurance and things like that. So there's so many different ways. But back to the tax liens, I mean, for $500, and it's not guaranteed that you'll get for $500, but I've gotten multiple ones for $500. Even if it's 1,000 or 2,000, like it's worth it.
What is the most expensive in now, obviously you're not making any guarantees, but just your personal experience, what is the most expensive tax lien property you have seen someone buy, whether it was you or whether it was maybe someone else in the tax lien auction?
At the very last auction I attended, I think the highest bid at that one was $55,000. But this was a commercial building that was worth well over $300,000. So
wow,
$55,000, that's still a steal. It's a huge commercial building on a main busy downtown street. So it's a huge property. So yeah, but that's the highest I've seen. Like, it was a commercial property. And as far as a house, the highest one I think I saw at that same very auction, I think it went for like $22,000, $23,000. But even so, the house was already worth $100,000.
So they just walked into $80,000 basically of equity.
Instant equity. Yes, exactly.
So now with maybe these larger ones, right? So maybe these larger prices, these properties that command larger prices. maybe people aren't walking around with $23,000 or $55,000 in their pocket. Like, you know what? Let me just go get that out the drawer. Let me go get that out the nightgown. I'll be right back. Under out the sock drawer. So, I mean, so can you like use your, let's just say maybe like your retirement accounts, or can you use like an IRA to actually go ahead and invest in these kind of properties?
And I'm glad you said that, because that a lot of people don't know you can use your self-directed IRA retirement account to purchase real estate, depending on how your IRA is set up. And if it's not set up the way you need it to be, just get it set up. You know what I mean? Just get it set up. You can purchase it out of there. You can defer a lot of the taxes with it and things like that. Another thing you can do is as a last resort, maybe, but some people, like if you're down to the wire, some people even take out home equity loans on their home. They'll get the property renovated, either sell it or refinance, pay that back off. They'll rinse and repeat the process a couple of times, and things like that. But definitely you can use your retirement account to even invest. A lot of people do that as well.
That is awesome. So I want to just kind of segue into a little bit of the interview that you were so incredibly open and vulnerable about. And, we're very candid that you were and that you are a survivor of domestic violence. And you absolutely know what it's like to start this real estate thing with nothing. I think, when multiple people read your interview, they were just like, oh my gosh. I mean, you look at Shanette, and she is out there doing it, but then you read the story and you're just like, oh my goodness. But you said something that was really, really powerful. And you said, I wish someone would have told me about this opportunity when I was going through that time, because I know it would have changed my life. And the reason I want to specifically talk about that, I mean, we don't necessarily have to go into the details of the domestic violence. I think for anyone who is really interested in reading Shanette's story, you should read Shanette's story because it will change your life. But the reason why I want to talk about that is because, at least out here in America, I don't know how things are over there in your neck of the woods, Jay, but at least in America, we have high suicide rates, right? And we have high domestic violence rates. And what economists and the federal data is finding is that it's actually increasing in the bottom 60% of income earners. In fact, the bottom 60% of income earners in the United States are the largest group of suicide rates and violence rates, okay? So I thought it was really, really interesting to go ahead and pause, because when you talk about the fact that, like I said, when you read your interview, you know that you have just been through fire, and clearly there were a lot of, things that you shared that would make the average person give up hope. But you said this real estate thing has changed your life. And so for anyone who may be watching, who may feel like they're stuck, who may feel like they just have no way out, and who really genuinely are feeling the pressure, how would you explain how real estate changed your life from that perspective, and why you said that you wish you would have known about it when you were going through such a difficult time in your life?
Definitely. So I wish I knew about it then, because I see a lot of people don't know, like for instance, tax liens and wholesaling, it has been around for years and years and years. It's gained a lot more popularity over the last few years, but it's been around for a long time. And I say that because I was in a situation where I was almost dependent upon someone else, which was my ex-husband. And at the time, I felt like on my own. Now, I've always worked and had a job and things like that, but I felt like I could not provide my son with the type of lifestyle that I wanted him to have on my own, as
Mhm.
my ex-husband was able to provide for us.
Mhm.
And so I was thinking, like, had I been able to do that, maybe I wouldn't have stayed in that situation as long. And
Mm.
if I'd have known about that, I could have done wholesaling, or, found leads for wholesalers, because some people say, oh, it's too much work. And, that, okay, well, if you don't want to do the actual wholesaling, you can work with a wholesaler and just go out and you find properties for them and just give them the address, take a picture, and a lot of them will give you a percentage, like 10% of whatever it is. So if you close,
Really?
yes, so if you close a deal, say $20,000, that person can get $2,000. I don't know about you, but $2,000 for somebody in a tight spot, that can change
Yes.
their life. Like, it really can. So and like I say, that's something you can start, for free. You don't have to have a lot of money to do that. Most people are driving to work and school and around their neighborhood to pick the kids up anyway. So while you're en route, look for those houses that look abandoned or uncared for. Start talking to people. Hey, anybody wanting to sell their house? Things like that. You partner with a wholesaler and work it out with them, and they can earn money that way. So I'm thinking, like, if I'd have known about that at that time, I wouldn't have been as reluctant, and I wouldn't have stayed as long as I did, because I would have felt like I would have been able to do it on my own. I was younger at that time. The internet wasn't what it is now, and the
Mhm.
resources weren't there and things like that when I was there. So I just wish I knew about this. And I'm looking at what I've done just in the last even 18 months. And
Mhm.
it's like, wow, what this could have done for me back then. This could have gotten me out of that terrible situation that I was in. But, here I am now. And, it could help somebody else. My experience, the knowledge that I've gained, all the courses that I've taken, the information from my mentors, I can help somebody else with that. So, yeah.
I have to say this, and I definitely want to be respectful of your time because I know you've got to go very soon. But that's absolutely one of the reasons why we appreciate you and we adore you, because you've been on both sides of the track.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? You've been on both
Yes.
sides of the coin. And
Mhm.
so you aren't speaking from theory. You're not
Right.
speaking from conjecture and
Right.
intellectual, you know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
you are speaking from experience, and that is absolutely one of the most powerful. That's one of that's power when you have a teacher that says, listen, that can say, look, I have literally been where you've been, and I've been worse. I've been in a situation where it's worse, and this is step by step how we can get you out of that situation. So I really genuinely appreciate how vulnerable and how open you were and sharing your backstory, because I personally know of a few friends who genuinely feel like they're stuck in their situation, and they're talking about leaving their kids at home at night so that they can go, bartend and bus, or maybe do Uber. And we have a sponsor and a teacher who is going to be teaching on this platform to let you know you don't have to drop off a nan on nobody for nothing, right?
Yes.
When she can go ahead and show you what you can do to get yourself an extra couple G's. Now, how many Uber rides would you have to do that? And I'm not knocking hard work, and I'm not, knocking Uber drivers by any means. So I don't want people to be like, oh, Takia's on the internet knocking folks.
Right.
That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that people typically are only as empowered as their options and the options that are given to them. And that is one of the things that we like to do in the WEkonomist magazine, is we want to present you with mentors, with teachers, with individuals who can let you know that you have more options than what you
Yes.
think you can.
Mhm.
And especially someone like Shanette, because when Shanette was going through this, she was already a mother. So she also understands the need to be there for kids and nurture and give them and provide, a quality of living. Without having to stay up to 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 o'clock in the morning, running your car, running yourself ragged.
Mhm.
So
Absolutely.
thank you. I mean, I definitely adore you. I'm so grateful for what you're teaching. And Jay is so nice. He's been just sitting back,
Yes.
in the chair, like, I'm just here to look good. Jay, did you have any? Did you see any questions? From any participants really that Shanette can answer for the next 2 minutes before we let her go?
Yeah, quick question I had here from Bomo. He says, is it difficult living under one's means? So that came in the beginning of the interview. So that's the only question I see out there in the comments. So basically, I guess with limited means, how difficult it can be when you want to get a part in the real estate game if you have
Mhm.
limited means.
That's a
So
question.
so how do you get through all this? Yeah.
Okay, so one thing I would say is, for one, try to learn how to live below your means. And some people say, well, I'm already doing that. Try to go even lower. Like, literally, I know I'm a nurse now, but my paychecks are split up multiple different ways, and they go into different accounts that do different things. But what's in my main account is what's left. That is only 50% of what I actually make. That is the money that, in my head, this is all I have to live on. This is all I have to pay my bills. This is
Mm.
all I have to eat, to do whatever, and that's it. And I tell you, in the beginning, it wasn't the easiest, but you start in small percentages. Maybe start with 3%, 5%, and put it into another account, and then move it up until you get to a point where, but after a while, the point is you get used to it. Like right now, I'm so used to living off of 50% of my income, it doesn't even phase me. Like, I didn't go out and get a new car, didn't go get a new house. Those things would be nice, but I have a plan. I have things that I'm trying to do. I
Mm.
have goals. I have a purpose. I'm trying to build something much greater. So these things, to me, my house is okay. It's nice. It's comfortable. I'm okay with that. I don't have to have the nicest, newest house. I have to have the nicest, newest vehicle and things like that. So I would say, first, start to live below your means. If you're buying lunch out at work, start bringing your food to work. Start cooking at home, bringing your food to work. You know, if you're buying name brand things, try the off brands a little bit. I'm not ashamed to say I'll buy some off brand things in a minute. Just try to really look. And I challenge people to keep track. Look at your monthly bank statements. Every single month, I look at every single charge that I've made. And sometimes I'm like, whoa, you gotta really keep that at the top of your brain, because you can overspend and not even realize, they're like, oh, it's just $4 here, oh, it's just $6 there. But at the end of the month, that adds up. You know what I mean? And before you know it, you spent 100, 200 extra dollars that you could have had to the side to invest in real estate. I look at the article, the group of five guys, they all say $50. What was it, for 2 years? $50 a month for 2 years, or a week, or something like that. And things like that. So it really all goes back to mindset, and a lot of people underestimate mindset. It is so powerful. When you change your mindset, you can literally change your life, and that is so serious. And once my mindset changed, that's when I saw things changing for me. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing is, pick up a little odd job. If you are good at something, do that. I know people that sell plates, plates of food, or some people that do Uber or Lyft, or, even if
Mhm.
it's just a few hours a week, take that money, be diligent, put it to the side, don't touch it. You know what I
Mm.
mean?
Mhm.
And just have a goal in mind, and just say, okay, hey, I'm not going to go to the movies. I'm not going to go out. We're not going to take a vacation this year. Save that money. It's so worth it to live uncomfortable just for a short while, so that you can get what you need to invest, and that will take care of everything else. So if you can really wrap your mind around the mindset, and a lot of people say, well, I need this. Well, do you really think about, is this something that I need, or is this something that I want? And I look at that all the time. My husband laughs at me, because I'll be in the store and I'll have these things in the cart, and I'm like, I don't need that, and I'll go put it back. I have to
Mhm.
really be conscious of that. So it starts with the little things. A lot of people think you got to make this big. No, it starts with the little things. So if you can master that, you'll be fine. And just, a lot of people, they want things to happen overnight, but things take time. So even if it takes you 5 or 6 months, to save up $1,000 just by cutting back or working, taking on a little part-time job on the side, things like that. Just do it, be diligent. But I promise, once you make that investment and you start getting returns on that real estate, you'll get addicted to it. And before you know it, you'll be like me. I don't need a new car. I don't need a new house right now. Like, it's nothing to you because you get so used to living below your means that it becomes the new norm. It just becomes a new norm. So yeah,
I,
yeah.
I, I want to throw out another tip because yes, I can definitely attest to that. Right, because to your point and what you made in what you said in the article, as we wrap up, you're just like, look, I mean, the older you get, the less you want to work, right? I mean, that's the truth. I mean, every year, I think I might get early retirement mentally.
Yes.
I don't feel like working that because if I go get that, then I'm gonna have to go to work,
Right.
But I also wanted to offer another quick tip, and it was really funny because when I started working with a mentor, one of the things that he said, that self-talk that you keep mentioning, Shanette, is really, really important. And he's like, and one of the things you have to stop saying is I'm bad with money, right? Yes. And he's like, you have to stop saying I'm bad with money. Now, he was like, most people who are bad with money are just bad at tracking the money that they spend, right? And so I'm going to share a really quick story with you before we close out, but it was the same thing. So he made me say, I want you to literally track all of your spending, right? Yes. And at that point, we had used YNAB. And I'm going to tell you the number one eater and creeper of budgets is eating out. The average person has no idea. And you feel like you're sacrificing because you're like, but I don't do this and I don't do that. But it is eating out. So he made me come back to him. Okay. And I'm going to put this out there. Okay. I'm not ashamed. I'm not proud of this. I'm going to say this. But, we looked at the bill because Kevin was like, Kevin went, oh, it's so tight, right? Do you know we looked at that bill? On average, we were spending $1,600 eating out. Wow. I came to him and I couldn't even look at him, right? And he said, well, wait a minute. But didn't you say you didn't have any money? I couldn't even look at him. I was like, please don't look me directly in the eye because right now I might feel a little bit guilty about, what I'm saying. So you have apps out there like YNAB, you need a budget, Tiller Money. You have apps that you literally can spend with your card. And even if you're a cash person, I would tell you do it for 90 days because you will learn a lot about yourself and what gets you. Yes. And as soon as I saw that we spent that much money and we were historically and consistently spending that much money, I went granular. I went Dave Ramsey style, Shanette. I started doing line items in my thing and I was like, fruit, nuts, cheese, right? And I promise you, one month we spent 58 cents on vegetables. I said, that's it. We're becoming vegetarian. Everybody is in here eating zucchini, right? And I promise you, but what was funny is when I knew where the leak was, right? Mm-hmm. So then I converted into a minimalist meal plan where we only use 6 ingredients and most of them are vegetable based. Mm-hmm. Do you know that when we did that, we literally started saving over $1,000 that we were leaking out. Definitely. We were leaking out.
Definitely. Yes.
So I can attest to it. And that's the one thing that I'm going to say, everything that Shanette is saying is absolutely true. Yes. It's the mindset, but track yourself. Yes. Track yourself. And then show somebody your finances, right?
Have an accountability
partner. Because all of a sudden you're going to look at yourself and you'll be like, oh my God, I am so trifling right now. I can't even look at you. And I promise you will begin to change. But but Shanette, I want to thank you. And like I said, we want to be respectful of your time. We know you got some money making moves to do. And so thank you for taking the time to go ahead and share your story and answer some questions. We know that at least you will be teaching behind the platform, so people can definitely get in touch with you at WEkonomist Magazine. But for maybe someone else who has some other questions, or they feel like they need to connect, or they feel like they need to kind of understand a little bit more about what it is that you do, what is the best way to get in contact with you to kind of learn more about this tax lien investing?
Definitely. I would say definitely you can shoot me an email, admin@kheirloom.com. So that's admin, ADMIN at Kheirloom, KHEIRLOOM.com. And I'll respond to your emails, definitely.
Okay, well, thank you. And before we let you go, are there any parting words that you would like to leave to the WEkonomist viewers and community?
I would say don't give up. If you're out there trying to find a way, you want to get started in real estate, educate yourself. Definitely don't be afraid to educate yourself. Don't be afraid to do it scared. A lot of people are like, oh, I might fail. You'll never get anywhere if you're scared and you don't get started. So just get started, definitely.
Right. Well, thank you so much. And Jay, you want to go ahead and close this out? I'm so sorry that I just in the seat.
No, no worries, no worries, Takia. We're always glad to have you. So thank you everyone for attending. We apologize if we couldn't answer all of your questions that we see in the comments that came in, lately, because Shanette, she's making money moves. She's on the clock. She's one of our busiest educators, and she's been. I saw the picture. She's been on a get together with CoinDash. I saw you, Shanette, the Black Mama Tea, and with Lamar. So there was quite an awesome get together. Just to let you know that Shanette, she's making those moves. We're not gonna hold her back here. Thank you so much for attending this live, and we will be back in 2 weeks, I believe, after we drop the next September issue. It's coming. So we're going to have a lot of nice things in store for you. Subscribe to our magazine to access the article, including the one we just discussed tonight. It's really an article that will change your life and inspire you. So thank you so much. And I wish you guys a great night. Thank you, Shanette. Thank you, Takia. And thank you, Kevin, and the whole team who worked behind scenes. Thank you all, and have a great night.
Have a good night, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.